actually happening. Hey there, Jury Villa.
Here we are. I see you've clocked my name on Zoom. I'm really going to take this title and run with it. It's a great honor. So here we are.
I appreciate it. Sarah, where are you in the world?
I'm in Florence, Italy, and I will say highly recommend being in Florence, Italy on your vote out app. It really takes the edge off.
I love that. I am recording, so I'll just jump in. Firstly, congratulations on getting to play Australian Survivor. You are one of the OGs of Australian Survivor, the original, the best. And to come back from from 2017, those first couple of seasons, especially the first two to me, they hold such value for me as a fan because you guys recreated what the show was going to be, and season two especially took it to the next level. What was it like to finally say, yeah, I'm gonna go back and do this for a second time?
It's the type of thing you can't even imagine up in your wildest dreams. Like my original intention when I played Survivor the first time was not necessarily to win, but to have such an amazing time and to play in a way that was strategically interesting to the degree that you would then get invited back as a returning player. I consider that such a badge of honor in Survivor. And I had been asked back a couple times before Heroes v Villains and Blood v Water. Timing, things didn't work out for those two seasons. But I'm so glad because the fact that I was able to return on this season is truly not something I ever thought would even happen, let alone me being involved or not. And then to be involved in a international season with those OG US players is like it's unreal. Like it's unreal that I even got to play Survivor in the first place. And then this being the full circle moment is just fantastic. And like if I told my like 6, 7 year old self that, it's just crazy. It's wild.
Yeah, like it is wild. I think maybe what people don't know, even if you're a newer watcher, maybe you've not seen Sarah's original season, because there are so many. I talk to people about Survivor. It's like, oh yeah, I started watching at like this juncture post COVID, George, or like there's people
Yeah.
who haven't necessarily like seen it. Go back watch. But what people don't necessarily know is like your whole family is Survivor crazy. Like I remember standing in a line talking to your dad about how he's listening to my podcast, other podcasts like from around the world, about
Yeah.
Survivor. Like you guys are proper legit OG Survivor people. So what was their reaction when you told them that, hey, I'm going to do this for the first time and then back again, obviously 7 years later, there's 8 years now broadcasting. Like it's a long way. It's a long time to not have played and then to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of time to analyze the game and analyze your own game. But also, before we move on, we're also
Please.
OG Brink of Reality podcast fans.
Thank you.
We loved your podcasts,
Yeah, I
and
know.
yeah, we love what listening to your game analysis. Yeah, when I talked about doing it in this iteration, I think my mum in particular, I would say she's the biggest fan of maybe us all.
Yeah.
And she was sort of like trepidatious. She was like, oh, it's such a great, experience the first time round. Survivor is such a hard game to play and to come out on top. Like, do you really want to mess with just such a perfect, well, obviously not that perfect, like perfect would have been winning, but do you really want to mess with such a great experience? And go into all that craziness again? And, the answer is a big, fat, obvious yes,
Of course.
because the theme itself is just, there is no consideration of saying no. Like, it is so epic to even be asked. And, I say that about my mum being a little trepidatious. However, like, I think she also very much knew that you have to say yes to this thing. It's just
Yeah.
more about going in with eyes wide open and, yeah, I guess keeping a level head in amongst it all. So like the post game, and as you know, Ryan, it's a crazy post game experience. So you just got to ride that wave and enjoy the all the positive that comes from it.
That's why I'm glad you're all overseas. Have you? Can I ask? I'm gonna ask a real question. I feel like you and I feel like I need to ask you real questions. Have you even watched the season, or have is this just from your recollection of what's happened out there? Like, have you seen it?
Yeah, so I have not seen the full episodes. No, I have been watching the little social media clips. I've been seeing the
Yeah,
reactions online. And I've been getting a good sense. Obviously, I was there, so I'm like, okay, so this part of that's being shown and whatnot.
yeah,
Which has been interesting. Yeah, it's you definitely feel a little sidelined from the conversation, and there's many things I'm always tagged in, and comments, and engagement with the fans that I'm sort of tagged in, and I want to kind of dive right into.
yeah,
But I also want to enjoy the holiday and have this really great experience. So I do feel like I'm kind of watching from the wings, which
yeah,
has been interesting, but ultimately good. Like I think like I always say about this show, like so long as it's an amazing show to watch and dynamic strategically, whether I come out on top or whether things, work out for me or not, like ultimately I just want the show to be good. I just want this show to be studied and talked about, for years on end. And that much is obvious watching the reaction online. Like people are
yeah,
loving it, and that is so cool to be a part of and be part of that cast. Similar to 2017, like it was such a stacked, epic cast. And
yeah.
to even be involved in that crew of people is something I'm really proud of. So yeah, it's been an interesting way to consume Survivor and the post game of it all, but ultimately I think also great.
Yeah,
Let the show
I
be the show.
no, 100%. And you and I and have talked about this over the years. Like, what happens on the island is such a different experience to what is broadcast on the show. It's a TV show ultimately, and I actually really love the authenticity of living the lived experience, talk about it, and then watch it at some point in the future. I think that's healthy as well.
Yeah,
And you talk about your OG cast. Yeah, in 2017, to me, I've said this publicly. I think it is the best Australian reality TV cast in any reality show ever. Like look at the names from that cast. You
yeah.
coming back just add to that. The game itself, so I need to come and talk to you about this a bit as well. So fascinating because you come in a really weird spot because you've got these connections to people where David, pre-game, and you didn't play together, but you have that like long relationship through the modeling stuff, and then post the Survivor bubble as well. You obviously played with Luke. Talk about like coming in, what's your headset? You have these connections, but it seemed as if you were going in, no, this is not the game I want to play with people that I necessarily knew. And why was that? Why did you decide to like step away from them and play with someone like Kirby, who I don't know if you have a relationship with her, but it seemed like you didn't have a pre-established
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah, so the thinking behind that was like the thing about established relationships is there's no need to proactively nurture those relationships in the
Yeah,
game necessarily because you have years and years of that in your back pocket. And with Dave and Luke, like we very much the three of us even like I'm pretty sure this is the case for Luke and Dave as well. It was like let's like have each other's back on the down low, like download to a degree. Obviously, everyone knows your friends, so like, but like, let's not make anyone any extra paranoid by going off together and chatting and increasing that threat level to an insane degree. But let's just like, if I hear your name, I'll let you know. Vice versa. Like, we'll have each other's backs on the down low, and then you can kind of let those simmer and set and forget in a way because you have all of that history. Um, so you had that. I also thought with Dave and Luke, I was really conscious and worried that I would get swept up into their strategy. They would kind of I would be a bit like their caddy. I didn't think it would be the kind of collaborative alliance that I wanted
yeah,
in this game, which is why I was so drawn to Kirby. I wanted to kind of build an alliance that was independent of that was my own and had its own life in the game. And the kind of basis of that assumption was that it would be a two-way street. It would be really collaborative, and we could kind of, as a pair, dominate in that sense. Another consideration, I mean, there's so many considerations when you have all of these pre-existing relationships.
yeah,
But with both Dave and Luke, they had Janine. And I'm not sure that I would have come out on top if it push came to shove and they had to pick Janine over myself.
yeah,
They know me as a player. I'm very much play the game, game's a game. I don't take things personally. but I think that works to my disadvantage because I think in that situation, maybe they would go, oh, well, Sarah will forgive us after, or let her drop off. Whereas Janine, we want to kind of nurture that relationship outside the game. So we'll keep that on. So I was just trying to like spread my relationships and the cards that I sort of had to play by working with Kirby.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, though, off the assumption that I wouldn't be her caddy and I wouldn't be sort of a yes man, because that is why I didn't really want to work so closely and so tightly aligned with Dave and Luke.
Yeah. The relationship with Kirby obviously is a pivotal one in your game. We saw through the show the connection that Kirby's establishing with Shawnee.
Yes.
What was your thought around that? And the way the show portrays it is that you don't feel necessarily you can necessarily work with Shawnee in a way, and she almost takes away from you being Kirby's main person. Can you talk a little bit about that and that thinking process and what you were trying to achieve there?
Yeah, look, I know it was a secret relationship. I think I saw some snippets where Curbs was saying it was a secret relationship. It's not secret.
Not so
It's so
secret.
obvious that Kirby loved that the Kirby loved Shawnee because Shawnee is the most charming, socially charismatic person to ever play this game. So, like again, like I mean, the two of them are. So they naturally gravitated towards each other, which was really obvious to me. Um, the reasoning for wanting Shawnee was it was partly to do with like I really wanted Kirby to myself so we could duo it.
Yeah.
I didn't want Kirby to have like a suite of minions in a way because I'm like, well, that's not a duo, that's not a bi-directional kind of partnership that I'm after. So, and I think maybe Kirby felt the same way about David, which is why I said, I feel the same way about Shawnee as Kirby does about David. And really, what that means is for Shawnee, like they're not wanting to work with her strategically was completely not personal. I just felt like she was going to play the same sort of game that I was interested in playing, which was leveraging the cracks, using big players as shields, being quite, you know, uh, free flowing with the new relationships that
Yeah.
she could build. I knew the World Tribe would love her because everyone loves her. So for me, just she was a really big threat to me in terms of the approach that I was taking to the game, and I just wanted to kind of take that out for me in the game.
Yeah.
Knowing full well I would be up against the Shawnee stands and everyone would hate me for it, but you got to play your own game.
Yeah, look, I trust me. Oh, I know that firsthand. Trust me, I get that. So, yeah,
Like coming
it's a
against Taylor Swift, why would you do it? Why would you do
no.
it to yourself?
You just don't do it. You just don't do it.
Don't do
The
it.
the um uh the episode where George goes, I find this really fascinating because we see some discussions around like your conversations with Kirby and kind of what you want to do in that episode in itself. It felt almost, I don't know if you were strong armed, if that's too powerful a word, but what kind of power did you feel you had in that situation? Because it felt like you were really visible and saying, this isn't what I want to do.
Yeah. Sorry, which vote is this?
This is the vote where George is
We
taken
get
out.
George.
Yeah.
Yeah. Strong armed is absolutely the word. I felt strong armed constant. Well, no, I felt like subtly strong armed. Like I felt like I was just talking for the sake of talking. But it was like kind of almost like talking to a brick wall. I was not going to be able to shift Kirby's focus really, honestly, in retrospect, ever, which was really challenging and not what you sort of set out to have in an alliance. You kind of want it to be a compromise discussion of, to and froing on strategy, and it just never felt like that. With the reason why we went with George in the end, though, wasn't necessarily a strong arm situation. I think it was, unfortunately, it was part of the reasoning was of that was that George was kind of on his own, really disrupting all the relationships he had on the tribe. So Janine and Luke, he had just gotten them way offside. I know that Luke actually wanted to work with George up until that moment, and he kind of wanted to have some fun with George. But then when George kind of was strong arming and doing what he could to get off the bottom, in complete fairness,
Yeah.
he just he made people move further away from him. He didn't do anything to me, and I really wanted to work with him. But when you're the only person who wants to work with a player in the game, like you can only push so hard for that
Yeah.
without just completely screwing up your own game by showing how much of an individual agenda that you're trying to push. So I definitely originally, like early, like post Dave vote, I was pushing strong to keep George, and I think I was making leeway. It's hard to know. Like the what ifs are always crazy in this game, but yeah, as the day progressed or the 2 days that followed progressed, it was just harder to make that work and build those bridges.
Yeah, no, completely understand. So I don't have you for a long time. Unfortunately, today I like doors open if you ever want to chat Survivor for hours. I'm always here to just to listen just as a podcast,
Yes.
but also as a mate. Like I feel like I know you well enough to know like you played this game. I know how much this means to you. Like I know how much Survivor means to you, and obviously playing this game, it like felt like it didn't go your way, and that is Survivor. Like you see that sometimes the cards fall great, and sometimes they don't. It didn't fall great in my mind. Like it felt like he got, as you said, yeah, strong armed. Is there regret around any of the decisions or gameplay, and like how does that sit with you now?
Regret's a hard word because regret's so, I think it, in a way, makes you sound ashamed. I'm not ashamed of how I played. I definitely played how, I played with the knowledge that I had, and I played with the, maybe naivety that I had as a only first time returning player. A lot of these players have played multiple times
Yeah,
over. And I had so many lessons to be learned from that game just gone. It would play it completely differently another time. And there was certainly fork in the road moments. Like, for example, I think in hindsight, I definitely would have just flipped and gone back to Dave and not worried about the sticking to my word on that first vote. Because after that first vote, the whole game was just recovery and really messy for me. So I certainly would have probably sided with Dave and just gone, okay, it's too hard to work with Kirby. I'm just going to go with what's easy.
yeah,
Um, so that would be kind of the big fork in the road moment that I would love to see how that played out differently. But Ryan, like regret, I wouldn't say regret because who knows what would have happened in another game. Like you can't assume that if you'd have done something differently, things would have all worked out for the better. Like it's so hard to say, and that's the beauty of this game. Like
yeah.
the nuance, the way things evolve. So no, and I also another reason why I don't regret it. It's been a brilliant season. Like
Yeah,
this is one for the books, right? And to be
100%.
involved in it at all is just like that's why it's really hard to walk away from this thing anything but grateful because I'm like, great, I'm involved in another brilliant season. And, whilst it didn't shake out for me this time, like I love that I was able to contribute to some of the, nuanced gameplay that people can really get into and analyze. And yeah, so no regrets, but definitely would play differently from the lessons learned.
Look, I take my podcast hat off now. I deliberately was provocative in that question. Like I
No,
knew that was
I
coming.
don't mind it.
And it's
Ask the
and it's
provocative question.
and it's yeah, I look I there's a thousand questions I want to ask you fire US players. I know there's so much to dig into at some point, and hopefully they'll come out in your other extra chats as well. I just wanted to get a real conversation with you because I value you. I know how much this means to you as a person, and to get to play Survivor again. Uh, I'm so just excited for you. Like I'm so excited that you are back and playing, and you got to do this. And I'm a big believer. And this is us. We're old now, Sarah. We are like I didn't even have a beard the first time I met you. Like this is like
Yeah.
we've become adults over the years.
I'm in my 30s now, right? I'm
Oh
not
my
much a
god,
child anymore.
you still look great. Don't stress. It's interesting, right? Because I think as you get older, we don't necessarily have regret, but you learn lessons from every experience that you have. And this is such a cool lesson to have. You got to play this incredible season, this all-star mega Australia versus world with players that I know you love. Like I know you love these US players, and we didn't get to see that in its full act. But for you to get to play that, you should be really proud that you were picked as one of those people to represent Australia against the world.
Yeah.
That talks to the quality of player like I know that you are and quality of person that you are. So just be proud. Enjoy the holiday. I'm jealous. It is very good. And Yeah, I hope you enjoy being the mayor of the Jury Villa because that is the content that we want to see as the season unfolds.
It's good company, Ryan. Like, if you're going to get voted off in the jury, might as well be the mayor of Jury Villa and, yeah, dominate the Jury Villa if you're not going to dominate the game.